And all of a sudden my teacher, she like comes up to me and she's like, I don't want to ruin the vibe of the day, how good it's been, but I have some unfortunate news. And I was like, uh-oh, like what's going on? And she told me that Matthew Perry died at age 54 in his hot tub.
Oh my God. Hi, and welcome back to HiLites of the Week, your weekly news roundup. I'm Caitlin Follman.
And I'm Caroline Just. And today we're going to be talking about the article Preconceptions of Skin Issues with Pahal Sehgal, who wrote the article in depth. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was about?
What we were trying to cover in the story was kind of just go into like what the media features as like the typical perception of skin and what your skin should look like versus kind of just the reality of it, and how people that have skin conditions, which could be like vitiligo, but it could also just be acne, and how these people kind of combat the world and how they just battle those perceptions that the media creates.
Mm-hmm. How many students did you interview for this, and did you hear any like unique stories?
So I believe we interviewed 3 students for it, and I think that most of the stories were, I think, pretty generic. They were kind of just like what you'd see people that suffer from these conditions go through, right? And it wasn't something like necessarily unique to the student, but it could be something that's unique to people with like certain conditions and certain, just if they look different from the norm, sort of.
Mm-hmm. What are some of those like, did you hear any like solutions that they tried to come up with? Because I know like Accutane is a big one for like cystic acne.
So I think what a lot of people focused on in our article, and like what a lot of the students were kind of just talking about in general, was just that rather than focusing on treatments in and of themselves, focusing on kind of just the societal perception and moving away from that like glorified porcelain skin, I guess, that they show in media, and moving away from that and kind of going towards normal skin has texture. Normal skin is not perfect. Normal people aren't perfect. Yeah. And I think that's probably going to be more of the solution to these problems rather than like Accutane. Because sure, Accutane could be great, but then when we have these perceptions in the media, what it creates is that even if you don't have severe acne, you want to go on Accutane because you want to get rid of the texture in your skin, even though it's normal. Everyone goes through skin problems. No one has perfect skin.
Mm-hmm. Did you interview did you interview like a sophomore, junior, and a senior, or like all seniors? Who did you pick for those?
I think we had 2 juniors and a senior, but I could be wrong on that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had 1 girl and 2 boys, and then we had a expert source.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I mean, especially in high school, like kids, like we deal with so much like change in like our bodies, and because of like the media and stuff, it's so easy to feel like, oh, like even though my body's doing the thing that like everybody's has to go through, like because I don't look like so-and-so that's like in Hollywood, like then like I need to change, or like I need to get like on Accutane, or I need to like start like skin treatments and like pay way too much money for a skincare routine. So like I like who you like the grade levels that you chose for that, because especially at the end of high school, like when you're starting to get ready to go to college and stuff, like I think people tend to worry about that more and more because they're realizing like, oh, I have to go on my own now, and like I have an image that's more individual. So that makes sense.
What's one piece of advice that you would give to a student who's struggling with finding their own footing in their own skin?
I think it's just that you kind of just have to be comfortable in your own skin. And I know that sounds like really easy to say, but it's just something that I guess comes with time. I think you just have to stop thinking about like, oh, they look more beautiful than me, they look prettier than me. And I think it's that everyone has flaws, and you can't even inherently call them flaws because we're all just different, unique individuals. No one looks the same unless you're like identical twins or something. So I think that's just what it is. Like you just need to get comfortable in your own skin. Like you need to be able to accept yourself. Insecurities happen. Everyone has insecurities. No one is completely confident in themselves. But I think it's just about accepting those insecurities and understanding that everyone is just different. Like if you look different than some of your friends, that's okay. We all look different from other people. And I think we saw this a lot more. Like we interviewed 2 boys and a girl, right? And so I think what we saw was a little bit more of like a different attitude that we saw in boys. And I think it's just because the expectations that are enforced upon like, I think girls are far greater, like appearance wise. And I don't mean that in like a certain biased way. I think that's just the truth of it. It's the fact of it. And so in the media, you'll always see just the most beautiful, like porcelain skin, clear, tall, that whole
long legs,
skinny, that whole thing. And then the normal person just doesn't look like that. And I think that just impacts girls a lot more, if you know what I mean.
I feel like there's like a similar vibe with like women and like feeling like they look to men for like their appreciation and their like worth, because like that, and especially like in high school, like I feel like so many girls are like, oh well, if this boy doesn't like me, like then I'm just not good enough and I need to like change some stuff. I need to work out, or I need to like eat better, or I need to, you know, not do this and this.
Right.
But like as soon as you can like break out of that like mindset, like I remember like my last year, my junior year, like I finally got out of that mindset and I'm having the best senior year because like I don't have to worry about that. So I think this like article is really important for that too. Like just to show that like you are your own person and you just have to learn to get comfortable with yourself, because like you'll never be happy if you're trying to please somebody else.
Well, thank you so much, Pahal, for joining us. If you guys want to learn more, you can read our article at HiLite.org under the in-depth section. Thank you so much. On September 15th, The New Yorker released an article about Hasan Minhaj and how he was telling untruth in his stand-up comedy. However, on October 27th, he released a video fact-checking his own truths to make sure that The New Yorker got it right, instead of them spreading lies about him in his stand-up.
What were the lies?
So he had 3 separate stories that The New Yorker interviewed him on and whether they were untruths. So the first one was about a girl who asked him to homecoming and about how her parents were very discriminatory towards him because of his race. And then the second one had to do with FBI and his mosque.
Whoa.
Yeah. And then the third one wasn't touched on as much, but I think I'm blanking on it. But those were the 2 main ones.
The main ones? Dang. Yeah. I mean, I think I saw something about that like on TikTok when I was like scrolling, and honestly, I have to say, he kind of annoys me.
Really?
His stand-up, like...
You don't like the way he presents?
It's very, like, fake to me. So, like, I would understand...
It's very TED Talk-ish, in my opinion.
Yeah. I would understand why, like, people would think that, like, his stories are fake. I don't think they're... Like, I don't necessarily think they're fake. I think sometimes comedians can, like, play it up so that their joke is better.
The whole kind of, like, I guess, perspective from The New Yorker is that he was using kind of his race as like a way to play to like
a stepping point. Yeah.
The only issue with that is though that he is he is mostly a political comedian. That's what he's kind of known for in a lot of his Netflix shows and things like that. So what he does is fact checking. So when he got interviewed and he saw all of these quotes, which were actually mispulled. So yeah, that's another thing. The quotes were mispulled. So it was really misconstrued to make it seem like he was really like
off the road, like off the tracks.
When that wasn't the full story of what he said.
Like
he was misquoted. So he was interviewed for the article. He was misquoted in that interview as well.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just a lot of
it's a lot of
mess ups
false accusations, I think, that are going around on both sides a little bit. I think it's interesting, though, that The New Yorker itself wasn't exactly...
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that they continued to run that article, and it's still up on the website, and that no one edited it, no one...
He must be mad. He must be so mad.
Well, he made a whole YouTube video about response of it. It's about 20 minutes.
Even though
he did. You know how he's known for stating all the facts like the TED Talks? He did exactly that with the New Yorker article.
Good for him.
I mean, at the same time, though, I wonder... Like, how much are we really going to scrutinize comedians more?
I don't know. Dude, the thing with comedians that I have learned is, like, if you think their jokes are too dark, if you think, like, their jokes are too racy, if you think their jokes are blah, 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 like, just leave. Don't watch them. Because the thing is, that's their job. Like, and they're joking.
Right.
It's a joke.
That's kind of the point of their job.
Yeah. So, like, I feel for, like, the comedians who have, like, darker content that, like... Because, like, I actually love dark comedy.
Be talked about.
Exactly.
And sometimes the best way to talk about that is through comedy. For me as a journalist, though, I was like, how is it going to be different for us? Because it's our job to provide truthful sources, you know, ethics, all that type of stuff.
That's the thing, like...
And to see pretty much an organization who's known really well, it's insane.
As, like, time moves forward, like, obviously, things are going to modernize more and more. And I'm just, like, a little, like, worried about it. But also, like, I just feel like it's out of our hands for the most part. Like... when like social media came around and when like websites were made and like you were like, oh, we could get our news by like going onto this thing called Safari or like Google or whatever, like that's just gonna keep happening. So like there really is no way to fact check or not fact check, but like keep everything in line because like people are gonna do what people do, which is like not always the best.
Yeah. I'm interested to see. The future for journalism is definitely going to change.
Very much
and as
so.
someone who wants to go into journalism, I think
you're a little worried.
Very, very interesting. But
yeah, good luck.
I don't know. I think if we try to find a way to keep things ethical and truthful, but also entertaining, I think those are two very hard lines because you want that story, but again, it has to be 100% the truth.
It's true, yeah.
So I think just finding that kind of balance is going to be difficult.
I agree.
I'm interested to see what happens. I am happy that he did come out with a response, especially in a comedic way. I think that was very unique of him to do.
Yeah.
So it was interesting.
So I was chilling at a acapella festival on Saturday the 28th.
That's fun.
And all of a sudden my teacher, she like comes up to me and she's like, I don't want to ruin the vibe of the day, how good it's been, but I have some unfortunate news. And I was like, uh-oh, like what's going on? And she told me that Matthew Perry died at age 54 in his hot tub.
Oh my God.
You know, I think that like, because I mean Betty White died, and then I feel like Kobe's died, like all these big like actors have died. He's like the first one of the Friends to die, which is so sad. And 54 is young.
I know. I'm a huge Friends fan. When I saw that, I was in a kind of similar situation. I was hanging out with my friend. We almost burned her house down. Luckily, we did not. But right in the aftermath of that, I check my phone. I see a text, and someone says, "Is this real?" And they sent me an article of Matthew Perry death.
Yeah.
And I almost started crying. Because Friends for me is childhood. You know, that was like a comfort show for me.
I was never like a big Friends watcher. I was like an Office kid. So like I never really, but I've seen episodes and like I think it's funny. I just never dedicated the time to like watch all of them.
You should do it. I'm gonna cry now if I watch it back, but
don't cry.
You should watch Friends. Friends is a great show.
I think one thing that I did take away from his death, like in his, maybe he wrote it in his book, his autobiography, that like he had written like, when I die, like I don't want to be remembered for Friends. He was like, I want that to be the last thing people talk about. And I feel kind of bad because it's all anybody's talking about. Like everybody's talking about how he's in Friends.
At the same time, like none of the other co-stars have released like statements yet. Hopefully they will. But I think a lot of people recognize that he did struggle with addiction and stuff while he was on the show.
Yeah.
And I think it is good that people recognize that, but he can also be remembered for someone who tried to help other addicts who are trying to sober up and who are going through the same process that he went through.
Yeah.
So I do think that that's very telling of just his character and his integrity.
Yeah. I think it was just like so sudden that everybody was like,
We were shocked.
Yeah. Like,
And so young, too.
I guess like this person's gone now. And for all the people who aren't friends, like, or who aren't friends, who don't like Friends or haven't watched it, like me, like, I still knew his impact.
Right.
Like, I still knew who he was and, like, enjoyed his character.
He was a huge celebrity.
I know. So, I don't know. I feel bad for all the Friends. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what they're going through. I'm trying to think of, like, other celebrities that I'll be really sad, like,
I mean,
when
when
they
the
pass
Queen
away.
died, I remember I just came into SRT, which is like our study hall.
Oh,
And
yeah.
everyone was saying the Queen died. I'm like, what are you talking about? We don't have the Queen in the U.S. And they were like, no, England.
Which is crazy. I actually,
insane.
I like saw, like went to Buckingham Palace like
Really?
months before she died.
That's crazy.
So I was like, technically,
You saw
I was there when she was hopping around and
got to witness the Queen.
literally.
Glory.
And like, I just remember there's like a big helicopter. That's besides the point. But like, yeah, like I just feel like so many celebrities are like just dying off.
Yeah, and I
like
think
it
it's
happens
so
all the time. But like,
how people they take it so seriously too. I mean, how can you not? But I think it's just a lot of celebrities are really personal to us, whether they're in like TV or
even if we don't know them
royalty.
personally, like they are part of your upbringing.
Yeah.
They're part of my upbringing.
I mean,
like,
Friends to me was huge.
yeah. So
I think just losing kind of that sense of yourself because you've watched that for so long
yeah,
that now you just won't see them on the screen again. I think that really hits home.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like there's no more, like there's not gonna be another reunion.
Oh my God, stop. I'm going to start crying.
Sorry, don't cry. Even though I'm not as emotionally attached, I still care about your emotions.
I think, yeah. I honestly think that Matthew Perry was just a brilliant person. I hope he will be remembered as someone who tried to help other people. You know, he brought a lot of life and a lot of comedy to the show as well as just to everyone around him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of celebrities, I think they should be remembered for the impact that they made on others, not necessarily their roles. So
Yeah. Well, hopefully his legacy lives on.
Yep. It may be heartbreaking, but we're going to try to stay positive and move forward.
Exactly.